The coffee shop smelled like cinnamon and regret. Maya sat across from me, her fingers wrapped around a paper cup she hadn't taken a single sip from. 3 years we'd been apart, and here she was, looking exactly the same, dark hair falling over one shoulder, that slight crease between her eyebrows when she was thinking too hard about something. "I shouldn't have come," she said. But she didn't move to leave. I stirred my latte, watching the foam swirl. "But you did." Outside, September rain painted the windows in streaks. We were in Portland, where everything felt perpetually damp and melancholy, which suited the moment perfectly. This wasn't supposed to happen. I'd moved on. I had a good job at the design firm, a nice apartment in the Pearl District. Friends who didn't know the old me, the one who'd fallen apart when Maya left. "How have you been, Sage?" Her voice was soft, careful, like she was approaching a wild animal. "Good, really good, actually." It wasn't entirely a lie. I'd been good most days. It was only at night, when the city quieted down, that I'd catch myself wondering what she was doing. If she ever thought about us. Maya single quotes, S fingers drummed against her cup. I recognized the pattern. It was what she did when she was nervous. "I heard you're seeing someone." I was. It didn't work out. I didn't elaborate. What was there to say? That every woman I'd dated since her felt like trying to fit a square peg into a Maya-shaped hole. "I'm sorry." "Don't be. It wasn't your fault." Though in a way it was. Maya had set an impossible standard. She'd show me what it felt like to be completely, recklessly in love, and then she'd taken it away. She finally took a sip of her coffee, grimaced. "It's cold." "You've been holding it for 20 minutes without drinking it." A smile flickered across her face, the first real expression since she'd walked in. "Some things never change. You always did pay too much attention to details. Someone had to. You'd lose your head if it wasn't attached." "I never lost anything that mattered," she said quietly. And the weight of those words settled between us. I looked away first, focusing on the couple at the next table, laughing over shared earbuds. "Why are you here, Maya?" "After 3 years, why now?" She was quiet for so long I thought she might not answer. Then, because I made a mistake. My heart did something painful in my chest. "Which mistake? Leaving or coming back?" "Leaving." Her eyes met mine, and I saw it, all the longing I'd buried reflected back at me. "Definitely leaving." It started raining harder. We left the coffee shop and stood under the awning, neither of us willing to be the first to walk away. The street was nearly empty, just a few cars hissing through puddles. "My apartment's 2 blocks away," I heard myself say. "We could talk there. Somewhere dry." Maya nodded, and we walked in silence, shoulders occasionally bumping. Every touch sent electricity through me. I'd forgotten this, or maybe I'd forced myself to forget how aware I was of her. How my entire body tuned itself to her frequency. My apartment was exactly as I'd left it that morning, minimalist, organized, nothing out of place. Maya had always teased me about my need for order, said it was my way of controlling a chaotic world. She'd been right, of course. She usually was. "Nice place," she said, taking off her wet jacket. Underneath, she wore a faded band t-shirt I recognized. I'd bought it for her at a concert we'd gone to in Seattle, back when we thought we'd have forever. "You kept that shirt." She glanced down. "I kept a lot of things." I busied myself making tea, needing something to do with my hands. Maya wandered around the living room, looking at the photographs on the wall, none of which featured her, though a few were from places we'd visited together. "You still do photography," she observed. "Weekends mostly. The design work pays the bills, but photography keeps me sane. I remember when you said you'd never work in an office. You were going to be a starving artist, living in a van, chasing perfect light. Yeah, well, we all grow up sometime." The words came out harsher than I intended. Maya turned to face me. "I didn't mean it as criticism." "I know, sorry." I handed her a mug of chamomile tea, her favorite. Of course I still kept it in my cupboard. Of course I did. We sat on opposite ends of my couch, a careful distance between us. The rain drummed against the windows, creating a rhythm that filled the silence. "Tell me about your mistake," I said finally. Maya cupped her hands around the mug. "I thought I needed to find myself." "That's what I told you, right?" That I was too young to be in something so serious, that I needed to experience life on my own terms. I remembered every word of that conversation, had replayed it 1,000 times, looking for the moment I could have changed things. And did you? Find yourself? I found a lot of things. I traveled, spent 6 months in Southeast Asia, lived in a commune in New Mexico for a while, worked on an organic farm in British Columbia. I met interesting people, had adventures, did all the things I thought I needed to do. Sounds amazing. It was empty, Sage, all of it. Because none of it was with you. I took a shaky breath. You can't just say things like that. Why not? It's true. Because I spent 2 years getting over you. 2 years convincing myself that what we had wasn't real, that it was just intense because we were young and stupid and didn't know any better. And now you're sitting here in my apartment telling me you made a mistake, and I stopped. My voice breaking down. Maya set down her mug and moved closer. I know I hurt you. I know I don't have any right to come back and mess up your life again. But I couldn't stay away anymore. I tried, Sage. I really tried. You should have tried harder. But even as I said it, I could feel my resolve crumbling. She was so close now, close enough that I could smell her perfume, jasmine, and something earthy, the same scent she'd always worn. Tell me you don't feel this, she whispered. Tell me it's gone for you and I'll leave right now. I'll never bother you again. I wanted to lie. I wanted to protect myself, to send her away before she could destroy me all over again. But when I looked into her eyes, I couldn't do it. I can't tell you that. Then just one last time, she said. Let me touch you one last time, and if it doesn't feel right, if you want me to go, I will. Her hand reached up, fingertips grazing my cheek. It was the lightest touch, barely there, but it set every nerve ending on fire. I closed my eyes, and suddenly we were back in our old apartment, the one with the broken heater and the view of nothing but other people's windows. We were 22 and 23, convinced we'd invented love, that what we felt was unprecedented in human history. Maya, just this once, she breathed. And then her lips were on mine. The kiss was gentle at first, tentative, a question. But when I kissed her back, and God help me, I couldn't not kiss her back. It deepened into something desperate and familiar all at once. Her hands tangled in my hair, and I pulled her closer, eliminating any space between us. We broke apart, both breathing hard. That didn't feel like goodbye, I managed. No, she agreed. It didn't. This is insane. We can't just pick up where we left off. I know. You broke my heart, Maya. You shattered me. I know. I'm so sorry, Sage. I'm so sorry. Tears were streaming down her face now, and I reached up to wipe them away, my thumb tracing the line of her jaw. I don't want to hurt like that again. I won't let you. I swear I won't. We kissed again, slower this time, taking our time to relearn each other. Her mouth tasted like chamomile and promises I wasn't sure she could keep. My hand slipped under her shirt, my old shirt, feeling the warmth of her skin, the rapid beat of her heart that matched my own. Bedroom? She whispered against my lips. I nodded, not trusting my voice, and led her down the hall. Afterward, we lay tangled in my sheets, her head on my chest, my fingers running through her hair. The rain had stopped, and weak afternoon light filtered through the curtains. Just one last time, huh? I said. I felt her smile against my skin. I may have underestimated my self-control. May have? She propped herself up on one elbow, looking down at me. Her hair was mussed, her lips swollen from kissing, and she was the most beautiful thing I'd ever seen. Okay, I definitely underestimated it. Being near you, touching you, it's like coming home. Home is where you left, remember? Home is what I spent 3 years trying to find and couldn't, because it was always you. You're my home, Sage. I wanted to believe her. Every cell in my body wanted to believe her. What if you change your mind again? What if 6 months from now you decide you need to go find yourself in Tibet or whatever? I won't. You don't know that. I do. Because I've been everywhere else, and the only place I want to be is here with you. She kissed me softly. I love you. I never stop loving you. Maya, I know words aren't enough. I know I have to prove it. Just give me the chance. I looked at her, really looked at her, searching for any sign of doubt or uncertainty. But all I saw was the same woman who convinced me to go skinny dipping in the ocean at midnight. Who'd stayed up with me for 3 days straight when I had a gallery deadline. Who'd held me when my mother died and never once told me I was grieving too hard or too long. I love you too, I admitted. I never stopped either, even when I wanted to. Her smile was radiant. So we're doing this? We're really doing this. On one condition, anything. No more running. No more leaving when things get hard or scary or complicated. We talk, we work through it, but we don't run. I promise. No more running. She sealed it with a kiss, and I felt something in my chest that I thought was dead come back to life hope. We spent the rest of the weekend in my apartment, making up for lost time. We talked about everything, our travels, my career, the relationships we'd had that never quite worked because we were still holding on to each other. We made love and made breakfast and made plans, tentative at first. Then with growing confidence, on Sunday night, as we sat on my couch eating takeout from the Thai place down the street, Maya said, I found a sublet. Month to month near Hawthorne. I was hoping. I don't want to move too fast, but maybe we could talk about, yes. I didn't finish the question. Yes to whatever it was. Yes to taking it slow. Yes to you staying over sometimes. Yes to eventually, when we're ready, talking about something more permanent. Yes to all of it. She set down her pad thai and kissed me, tasting like basil and chili. I don't deserve you. Probably not, I agreed with a smile. But you're stuck with me anyway. The next few months weren't easy. We had to rebuild trust, had to learn how to be together as the people we'd become rather than who we'd been. There were arguments and misunderstandings. Moments when I pull away, scared she'd leave again. And she'd have to patiently prove she wasn't going anywhere. We started therapy both individually and together. My therapist said I needed to work through my abandonment issues. Maya said she had a pattern of running when things got serious. Something to do with her parents' divorce when she was 12. We were works in progress, both of us, but we were doing the work. Maya got a job teaching art at a community center. She loved it, came home full of stories about her students, the single mom learning to paint, the teenager who'd never held a brush before discovering she had talent, the elderly man recreating scenes from his childhood in Vietnam. I started saying yes to more photography opportunities, even entered a few competitions. One of my pieces, a shot of the Willamette River at dawn, won second place and was displayed in a local gallery. Maya was more excited than I was. Brought all her friends and coworkers to the opening. We fell into rhythms, creative routines. Saturday mornings at the farmer's market, Tuesday night dinners at the Vietnamese restaurant run by an elderly couple who always gave us extra spring rolls. Lazy Sunday, mornings in bed reading different sections of the paper and stealing bites of each other's breakfast. 6 months after that rainy day in the coffee shop, I came home to find Maya in my kitchen, our kitchen now, really. Since she'd officially moved in the month before, surrounded by flour and chaos. What are you doing? I asked, trying not to laugh at the streak of what looked like chocolate on her forehead. Attempting to make you a birthday cake. Emphasis on attempting. My birthday's not for another week. I wanted to practice. You know I'm terrible at baking. I wrapped my arms around her from behind, resting my chin on her shoulder. You're terrible at a lot of things. It's part of your charm. Name one other thing. Putting gas in your car before the light comes on. Remembering to pay parking meters. Finding your keys. Those are 3 things. You asked for one. I'm an overachiever. She turned in my arms, getting flour on my work clothes. I have something for you. Your actual present, not the disaster cake. You didn't have to get me anything. I wanted to. She pulled a small box from her pocket and my heart started racing. Before you panic, it's not what you think. Or maybe it is. Kind of. Just open it. Inside was a key, not just any key, but one with a small silver heart attached to the ring. It's to my storage unit, Maya explained. The one where I kept all my stuff when I was traveling. I want you to have access to it, to every part of my life. No more secrets, no more running away and leaving pieces of myself scattered around the world. Everything I am, everything I have, I want to share with you. Maya, I know it's not a ring. Not yet, but it's a promise that someday when we're both ready, I'm going to ask you properly. I'm going to spend the rest of my life proving that I choose you every single day. I kissed her, tasting salt from tears. I didn't realize I was crying. You're such an idiot. You're idiot, though. Yeah, I said, smiling against her lips. My idiot. That summer, we drove up the coast to Washington, camping in the rainforest and hiking to waterfalls. Maya brought her sketchbook and I brought my camera. And we documented everything, the mundane and the magnificent. The tourist spots and the hidden gems, one night. Sitting around our campfire in the Hoh rainforest. Surrounded by trees that had been growing for hundreds of years, Maya said, "Do you ever think about how many times we almost didn't happen?" What do you mean? If you hadn't gone to that party junior year. If I hadn't been there because my roommate dragged me. If you hadn't spilled beer on my shoes and insisted on buying me new ones. Those were expensive shoes. I felt terrible. They were $15 Target clearance shoes, and I told you they were designer, so you'd keep talking to me. You lied. I was smitten. You were the most beautiful person I'd ever seen. And you were babbling about light exposure and aperture settings. And I would have said anything to keep you talking. I laughed. Remembering that night how nervous I'd been. How certain I was that this gorgeous girl was out of my league. I almost didn't go to that party. I had a photo assignment due. See? So many near misses. And then when I left, we almost didn't happen again. If you hadn't been in that coffee shop that day, I'm always in that coffee shop. It's my Tuesday spot. I know. I've been watching you for 3 weeks, trying to work up the courage to approach you. 3 weeks? I told you I'm an idiot. I squeezed her hand. But you did approach me. You did come back. Best decision I ever made. She stared into the fire, flames reflecting in her dark eyes. I used to think love was about finding yourself in another person. That's why I left. I thought I'd lost myself in us. But I had it backward. Love isn't about losing yourself. It's about finding the best version of yourself because someone sees you clearly and loves what they see. When did you get so wise? Therapy's expensive. I had to get something out of it. We laughed and then we were quiet, listening to the river nearby, the wind and the ancient trees. I thought about all the versions of us that had existed, the young couple who thought love was enough. The separated exes trying to move on, the tentative reconnection. And now this, 2 people who'd hurt each other and healed. Who'd lost each other and found their way back. I'm glad you kept touching me that day in my apartment, I said. Couldn't help myself. You're very touchable. I'm serious. If we'd just talked, if we'd kept our distance, maybe I would have convinced myself to be smart, to protect myself. But you touched me and I remembered everything, not just the good parts, but all of it. The way you feel, the way you smell, the way my entire body comes alive around you. It cut through all my defenses. So what you're saying is my complete lack of self-control saved us? Something like that. She pulled me closer and we sat like that for a long time. 2 women who'd loved and lost and loved again. Under a canopy of stars older than our pain, our joy. Our precarious and precious second chance. A year and a half after that rainy day in Portland, Maya did ask me properly. We were back at the coffee shop where we'd reunited, sitting at the same table. She got down on one knee right there. In front of the hipsters with their laptops and the teenagers on their first dates and the elderly man who came in every day for a black coffee and a blueberry scone. Sage, she said. Hands shaking as she held up a simple silver band. I know I messed up. I know I hurt you, and I know there are probably smarter choices you can make. But I also know that every morning I wake up next to you feels like a miracle. I know that you've taught me what it means to stay, to work through the hard parts instead of running. I know that I want to spend the rest of my life proving that I'm worthy of your trust. Will you marry me? I was crying again because apparently that's what Maya reduced me to, a blubbering mess. You forgot to mention I'm very touchable. You're extremely touchable. Will you marry me? Yes, obviously yes. The coffee shop erupted in applause. The barista gave us free lattes. A stranger took our photo and posted it somewhere, and for a week, we were those lesbians from the Portland proposal on social media. We got married 6 months later. Small ceremony at a farm outside the city. Just close friends and family, wildflowers and fairy lights, handwritten vows that made everyone cry. My cousin officiated and only made 3 terrible jokes. Maya's mom, who'd been skeptical about us trying again, gave the most beautiful toast about second chances and stubborn love. Our first dance was to a song we'd slow dance to in her old apartment. Back when we were kids who thought they knew everything. We knew better now. We knew love was work and choice and showing up even when it was hard. We knew it was saying sorry and meaning it, was learning each other's languages, was creating a space where both people could grow and change and still come home to each other. Just one last time, huh? I whispered as we swayed together. Maya laughed, her arms tight around me. Worst lie I ever told. Best lie you ever told. Yeah, she agreed, kissing me softly. Best lie I ever told. And she didn't stop touching me, not that night, not the next day, not in all the days and years that followed. Something precious she'd almost lost and found again, like I was home. Because some people get one great love. And some people are lucky enough to get that same love twice, deeper and stronger for having been broken and rebuilt. We were the second kind, and we never let each other forget it. The coffee shop where we reunited closed down eventually, turned into some tech startup's office space. But before it did, we went back one last time, sat at our table, and drank overpriced lattes. We didn't talk much. We didn't need to. Maya reached across the table and took my hand, and I let her, and that was enough. That was everything. 5 years into our marriage, Maya woke me up at 3 a.m. I want a baby, she said. I blinked at her in the darkness. Right now? No, not right now. But soon. I've been thinking about it for months, and I can't keep it in anymore. I turned on the bedside lamp. She was sitting up, hugging her knees, looking both excited and terrified. Months? Why didn't you say anything? Because I was scared you'd think it was too fast. Or that I was being impulsive. Or that you don't want kids and I'd be forcing you into something new. I put my hand over her mouth. Breathe, love. You're spiraling. She took a breath, then another. Do you want kids? I don't know, I said honestly. I never really let myself think about it. After you left the first time, I couldn't imagine sharing a life with anyone, let alone bringing a child into it. But now, I looked at her at the hope and fear warring in her expression. Now I can imagine it. With you, I can imagine a lot of things I never thought I wanted. So that's a yes? That's a let's talk about it when we're not half asleep and delirious. But we did talk about it. Over breakfast the next morning on our evening walks through Laurelhurst Park. During a weekend trip to the coast where we argued about logistics and timelines, and whose eggs we'd use and whether we'd do IVF or find a known donor. What about your cousin Jeremy? Maya suggested. He's got good genes. Tall, healthy, no weird hereditary diseases. Jeremy who ate a live cricket on a dare last Thanksgiving? I said good genes, not good judgment. We laughed, but the conversation was serious underneath. This was real. We were really considering becoming parents. It took us another year to actually start the process. We chose an anonymous donor, dark hair, artistic background, medical history that didn't make us wince. We decided Maya would carry first, since she was younger and had always been more maternal. I would be the breadwinner, the stable one, the person who remembered to pay the mortgage and schedule dentist appointments. The first attempt didn't take. Neither did the second or third. By the fourth, we were starting to lose hope. Maybe it's a sign, Maya said after the clinic called with negative results again. Maybe we're not meant to be parents. Or maybe it just takes time. Your doctor said this is completely normal. Normal doesn't make it easier. She was crying and I held her, feeling helpless. This was a kind of hurt I couldn't fix, a problem I couldn't solve with love or determination or stubbornness. The fifth attempt worked. We found out on a random Tuesday in October. Maya took the test while I was at work, then called me, sobbing so hard I thought something was wrong. What is it? What happened? It's positive, she managed between sobs. Sage, it's positive. I left work immediately, drove home probably breaking several traffic laws. Maya was sitting on our bathroom floor, still crying, the test clutched in her hand like a talisman. Let me see. She held it up. 2 pink lines, clear as day. We're having a baby, I said, the reality of it hitting me all at once. We're having a baby, she repeated, and then we were both crying, holding each other on the bathroom floor like the emotional wrecks we were. Pregnancy was hard on Maya. She had morning sickness that lasted all day, back pain that made her wince every time she stood up, and mood swings that turned her from laughing to crying in seconds flat. "I hate this," she said at 3 months after throwing up for the second time that morning. "How do people do this multiple times? How is the human race not extinct?" "You're doing amazing." "I'm not. I'm a disaster. I cried yesterday because we were out of strawberry jam." "We can get more strawberry jam." "That's not the point. The point is I'm losing my mind and my body doesn't feel like mine anymore, and I'm scared I'm going to be a terrible mother." I pulled her into my arms. "You're going to be an incredible mother. A little neurotic maybe, but incredible." "Just a little neurotic?" "Okay, very neurotic. But our kid is going to be lucky to have you." She softened against me. "Both of us." "Lucky to have both of us. Yeah, both of us." As her belly grew, something shifted between us. We'd always been affectionate, always touching, but now it was different, more tender, more reverent. I'd find myself with my hand on her stomach, feeling for kicks, talking to the baby about everything and nothing. "Your mama is being dramatic again," I'd say. "You're going to have to get used to that." "I am not dramatic," Maya would protest dramatically. We took birthing classes with other lesbian couples, attended support groups, read every parenting book we could find. We painted the nursery a soft green neutral since we'd decided not to find out the sex. We assembled furniture, washed tiny clothes, and tried not to think too hard about how much our lives were about to change. "What if we're bad at this?" Maya asked one night, 7 months pregnant and unable to get comfortable. "We probably will be at first." "Everyone is. That's not reassuring." "We'll figure it out." "We always do." She shifted, trying to find a position that didn't make everything hurt. "Remember when the hardest thing we had to figure out was how to be together? That seems so simple now." "Nothing about us has ever been simple." "True." She took my hand, placed it on her belly. "Feel that?" "Baby's awake." I felt the flutter of movement, still strange and miraculous even after months of it. "Active little thing?" "Takes after you." "You can't sit still for 5 minutes." "Takes after both of us." "You talk to your students with your hands." "Our kid's going to be a handful." "Our kid," Maya repeated softly. I still can't believe we get to say that. Olivia Rose was born on a rainy April morning, screaming her lungs out, perfect and terrifying. 8 pounds, 2 ounces, with a shock of dark hair and Maya's nose. She was the most beautiful thing I'd ever seen. And I immediately understood why people did insane things for their children. Maya was exhausted but radiant. Holding our daughter like she might disappear if she loosened her grip even slightly. "We made her," she whispered. "You made her." I just provided moral support and foot rubs. "We made her," she insisted. "Look at her, Sage. Look what we did." I looked. I couldn't stop looking. This tiny human, this person who would call us both mom. Who would have Maya's creativity and my stubbornness? Who would grow up knowing she was wanted and loved and worth every difficult moment that led to her existence? "Hi, Olivia," I said softly. "Welcome to the world. We're your moms, and we're going to try really hard not to mess you up too badly." Maya laughed through tears. Best introduction ever. Those first few weeks were brutal. Olivia didn't sleep more than 2 hours at a stretch. She cried constantly, and we couldn't always figure out why. Maya struggled with breastfeeding, ended up supplementing with formula. Felt guilty about it even though I told her repeatedly that fed was best. We were zombies. Running on coffee and adrenaline and a love so fierce it sometimes scared me. I'd wake up in the middle of the night and check to make sure Olivia was still breathing. Maya would cry from exhaustion and frustration, then cry because she felt bad about crying. "We're terrible at this," she said one particularly rough night. After Olivia had been screaming for an hour straight. "We're sleep deprived." There's a difference, is there? But slowly, gradually we figured it out. We learned Olivia's different cries: hungry, tired, uncomfortable, just wanting to be held. We developed routines, took shifts, accepted help from friends and family instead of trying to be superhuman. And there were good moments too. The first time Olivia smiled at us, a real smile, not just gas. The way she quiet when Maya sang to her. How she gripped my finger with her tiny hand. Holding on like I was her whole world. "I think she might actually like us," Maya said when Olivia was 3 months old. Finally sleeping for longer stretches. Revolutionary concept. I'm serious. Look at her. She's smiling. She's got gas. That's a real smile. Our daughter loves us. She did love us. It became more obvious every day the way her face lit up when we entered the room, how she'd reach for us. The baby babble that sounded almost like conversation when Olivia was 6 months old. We took her to the coffee shop, not the one where we'd reunited, but a new place we'd found near our house that had good light and didn't mind babies. Remember when we could sit in coffee shops for hours? Maya said, bouncing Olivia on her knee. Just reading and talking and drinking our coffee while it was still hot? Ancient history. Do you miss it? I looked at our daughter, who was grabbing at Maya's necklace with determined fists. Sometimes. But I wouldn't trade this, not even for one full night's sleep. Okay, maybe for one full night's sleep. We laughed and Olivia laughed too, not getting the joke but happy because we were happy. A woman at the next table smiled at us. How old? She asked. "6 months," Maya answered. "They're beautiful." "You're lucky." "We know," I said and meant it. That night after Olivia was finally asleep, Maya and I collapsed on the couch. We were both exhausted, both probably needed showers. Both had spit up on our clothes. "Hey," Maya said. "Hey yourself, I love our life. Even though we're always tired and smell like baby vomit and can't remember the last time we had sex. Especially because of that. Well, maybe not the last part. We should work on that. We should work on sleeping first." She laughed, resting her head on my shoulder. "Thank you. For what?" "For saying yes. To all of it. To me coming back, to trying again, to this crazy life we've built." I kissed the top of her head. "You're the one who kept touching me, remember?" "Couldn't help myself then." "Can't help myself now." She took my hand, interlaced our fingers. "Think we'll still be doing this when we're old? Sitting on the couch after Olivia's asleep, too tired to move? Probably. Except she'd be a teenager and we'll be hiding from her instead of the other way around. Terrifying thought. We've got time before we have to worry about that." But time moved faster than we expected. Olivia started crawling, then walking, then running. She said her first word, "Mama," though we never figured out which one of us she meant. She developed Maya's stubbornness and my analytical mind. A combination that made for spectacular. Tantrums and eerily logical arguments for a 2-year-old. "I don't want a nap." "Because naps are boring and boring things are bad." She explained one afternoon. "Who taught you that logic?" I asked Maya. "Don't look at me." "She gets it from you. I never said boring things are bad." "You say it every time I make you go to my parents' house." "That's different." "Your dad's poker stories are objectively terrible." Olivia grabbed onto the word objectively and used it for everything. "I objectively need a cookie." "This broccoli is objectively yucky." "I objectively love you." Mama, we were raising a tiny person with her own opinions and preferences and personality. And it was exhausting and amazing and nothing like we'd imagined. When Olivia was 3, Maya brought up having another baby. "Are you insane?" I asked. "We just got her sleeping through the night." "I know, but I don't want her to be an only child." "I was an only child and it was lonely. I had siblings. And we fought constantly. But you love them now. Now that we live in different states." Maya gave me the look, the one that meant she'd already made up her mind and was just waiting for me to catch up. "Just think about it." I thought about it. I thought about the sleepless nights, the anxiety, the complete upheaval of our lives. I thought about Olivia having a sibling to play with, to fight with, to love. I thought about Maya pregnant again, about building our family, about the chaos and joy of more. "Okay," I said. "Okay? Okay, let's have another baby. But this time I'm carrying." Maya's face lit up. "Really? Really? You did the hard part once." My turn. "You know, I'm going to be the most annoying partner, right? I'm going to research everything and have opinions about all of it and drive you crazy. So basically, you're going to be yourself?" "Exactly." This time the process was faster. Maybe we were more relaxed, maybe the universe was being kind, but I got pregnant on the second try. The morning sickness hit me harder than it had Maya. Spent most of my first trimester living on saltines and ginger ale. I don't know how you did this. I told her after throwing up for the third time before 9 a.m. Lots of complaining. As I recall, I'm never complaining about anything you do ever again. I'm holding you to that. Olivia was fascinated by my growing belly. She'd talk to the baby, tell it stories about her day, sing songs she made up on the spot. Baby, guess what? I found a really big rock today, and Mama said I couldn't bring it inside, but I hid it in my pocket anyway. Olivia, Maya said, what? Baby needs to know about rocks. At my 20-week ultrasound, we found out we were having a boy. A boy, Maya repeated, slightly dazed. We're having a son. You okay with that? I don't know anything about boys. You didn't know anything about babies either, and Olivia turned out okay. Olivia turned out more than okay. She's perfect. Objectively perfect, I agreed. We told Olivia she was going to have a brother. She thought about it for a minute, then asked, can we name him Dinosaur? Probably not, baby. What about Rocket? Also no. We eventually settled on Henry James, a compromise between Maya's love of literature and my insistence on something that wouldn't get him beat up on the playground. Henry was born in November, during the first snowfall of the year. He was calmer than Olivia had been, more content to just observe the world around him. Where Olivia had been all motion and noise, Henry was thoughtful, quiet, watching everything with serious dark eyes. He's so different from her, Maya marveled when he was a few weeks old. Different kids, different personalities. Do you think he'll feel left out? That we had this whole life before he came along? I looked at Olivia, who was trying to show Henry her favorite stuffed animal, speaking to him in the gentle voice she reserved for babies and small animals. I think he's going to be just fine. And he was. He and Olivia bonded quickly, in that way siblings do. She appointed herself his protector, would run to get us if he so much as whimpered. As he got older, he followed her everywhere. His first word an attempt at her name that came out as Libby. I'm not Libby. I'm Olivia, she corrected impatiently. Then give up and accept her new nickname. The years blurred together in the way they do when you're raising kids. School plays and scraped knees and bedtime stories. Olivia's first day of kindergarten when she marched in without looking back while Maya cried in the parking lot. Henry's obsession with dinosaurs that lasted 2 years and resulted in us knowing more about the Cretaceous period than any adults reasonably should. We celebrated. Anniversaries, 10 years married, 15 years since that rainy day in the coffee shop. We took family vacations to the coast, to Disneyland, to visit Maya's mom in California. We had fights about whose turn it was to do dishes, about how much screen time was too much, about whether we should move to a bigger house. We decided against the bigger house. Our home was full of toys and art projects and noise and life, but it was ours. The neighborhood knew us, the kids had friends on every block. And Maya's community center job was just a 10-minute bike ride away. I'd made partner at the design firm, was leading major projects, traveling occasionally for work. Maya had started teaching workshops for LGBTQ+ youth, creating safe spaces for kids to explore art and identity. We were building lives we were proud of, separately and together. Do you ever wonder what life would be like if I hadn't come back? Maya asked one night when the kids were asleep and we'd finally collapsed into bed. Sometimes, but I don't like thinking about it. Me neither. But I do wonder, what do you think would have happened? She was quiet for a moment. I think eventually I would have dated other people, maybe even married someone else. But it wouldn't have been like this. It wouldn't have been right. You can't know that. I do know it. Because I spent 3 years trying to find something that felt like us, and there was nothing. You're it for me, Sage. You've always been it. I rolled over to face her. Even after all these years, even with the laugh lines and gray hairs starting to show, she was still the most beautiful person I'd ever seen. You know what I think about? I said, what? How you said just one last time, how you thought you could touch me once and walk away. She smiled. Dumbest thing I ever said? Smartest thing you ever did was saying it anyway. How do you figure? Because it gave me an excuse to let you in. If you'd asked for forever right then, I would have said no. I would have been too scared. But one last time? I could handle that. Except once I let you in, I couldn't let you go again. Clever plan on my part. Terrible plan. You're lucky I loved you enough to fall for it. Luckiest person in the world, she agreed. And kiss me, Dot, we made love that night with the kind of quiet urgency you develop when your parents aware that kids could wake up at any moment. That privacy was a luxury, that we had to seize these moments when we could. But it was still us, still the same chemistry that had pulled us together a lifetime ago. Afterward, lying in the dark, Maya said, I want to grow old with you. That's the plan. No, I mean really old. Sitting on a porch somewhere complaining about our joints, watching our grandkids play. We have to get through the teenage years first. Don't remind me. Olivia's already showing signs. She's 7. Exactly. We're doomed. I laughed, pulling her closer. We'll survive. Promise? Promise. We survived everything else. When Olivia was 12 and Henry was 9. We took them back to that coffee shop, not the one where we'd reunited, which was long gone, but a new place that had opened in the same location. It looked nothing like the original, all modern and minimalist, where the old one had been cozy and cluttered, but standing there felt significant anyway. Why are we here? Olivia asked, already at that age where everything her parents did was mildly embarrassing. This is where your moms fell in love, Maya said. Fell back in love, I corrected. The first time was at a party in college. You fell in love at a party? Henry was intrigued. Like in movies? Kind of. Mama spilled beer on Mom's shoes. Mama. Both kids looked scandalized. It was an accident. And I offered to buy new ones. This is so cringe, Olivia declared, but she was smiling. We got coffee, hot chocolate for the kids, and sat at a table by the window. Rain was starting to fall, just like it had been that day 15 years ago. Tell us the story, Henry said. The real story. Maya and I looked at each other. We told them an abbreviated version before age appropriate, leaving out the heartbreak and the separation. The real story, Maya started, is that sometimes people make mistakes. Sometimes they hurt the people they love most. Did you hurt Mama? Olivia asked me. No, I hurt Mom, Maya said. I left when I should have stayed. I thought I needed to find myself, but what I really needed was right here. So why'd you come back? Henry wanted to know. Because I couldn't stay away. Because your mom is the most stubborn, beautiful, infuriating person I've ever met, and she's the only one I could ever imagine building a life with. Infuriating? I raised an eyebrow, in the best way. And you took her back? Olivia asked me. Even though she hurt you? This was the hard part, the part we'd have to explain more fully someday when they were older and dealing with their own heartbreaks and reconciliations. I did, I said. Because sometimes love is about second chances. Sometimes it's about forgiving people and trusting them to do better. And because when she touched me, I stopped, realizing how that sounded. When we were together again, I remembered why I'd fallen in love with her in the first place. Gross, Olivia said. But she was grinning. One day you'll understand, Maya told her. Doubt it. But she would. They both would. They'd fall in love and get their hearts broken and hopefully, eventually, find people who made them feel the way Maya made me feel, like home, like possibility. Like everything good in the world concentrated into one person. Can we get cookies? Henry asked, practical as always. Objectively, we should get cookies, Olivia added with a smirk. Maya and I exchanged a look, the look of parents who'd been outmaneuvered by their own children. Fine, I said. But just one each. They ran to the counter, arguing about which cookies were best. Maya reached across the table and took my hand. 15 years, she said. 15 years since you couldn't stop touching me. Still can't. Good thing we got married then. She laughed. And the sound of it mixed with our kids' voices and the rain on the windows and the ambient noise of the coffee shop. And it was perfect. Not perfect like in movies or books, but perfect like real life, messy and loud and full of love. The nursing home had good light. That was the first thing I noticed when we toured it, and it was the thing that made me say yes. Even though it was expensive and Maya had protested that we didn't need to move yet, but her Alzheimer's was getting worse. And I couldn't take care of her alone anymore. The kids helped when they could. Olivia flew in from Seattle every few weeks. Henry visited from Portland every Sunday, but they had their own lives, their own families. This was the right choice, even though it broke my heart. I visited every day. Brought her favorite chamomile tea in a thermos, sat by her bed. Told her about my day even though I wasn't sure how much she understood anymore. Some days were better than others. Some days she knew exactly who I was. Would reach for me with that same expression she'd had in the coffee shop 40 years ago. Other days she thought I was a nurse or her mother, or sometimes didn't speak at all. Today was a bad day. "Who are you?" she asked when I walked in, suspicious. "I'm Sage, your wife." "I don't have a wife. I'm not married." It hurt every time. But her doctor had warned me the recent memories would go first, then the older ones. Eventually, we might get down to the bedrock, to the foundation of who she was. "Okay," I said gently. "That's okay. Can I sit with you anyway?" She considered this, then nodded. I sat in my usual chair, the one I claimed 3 months ago when we'd first moved her in. "Tell me about yourself," she said after a while. I'd learned to go along with it, not to push. "I'm a photographer. I take pictures. I like pictures." "I know. You're an artist. You paint." Her eyes lit up, the first real animation I'd seen all day. "I do paint. How did you know?" "Lucky guess." We sat in silence for a while. Then she said, "I had a wife once." I think. It feels like maybe I did. My heart clenched. Yeah, she was beautiful. I remember leaving her. I think I left her, and it was the worst thing I ever did. "What happened?" "I came back. I couldn't stay away. I touched her, and I couldn't stop. I started crying, trying to keep it quiet." "That sounds like a good story." "It is. Is?" She looked confused. "I can't remember the rest." "That's okay. The important part is you came back." "Yes," she smiled, and for a moment she looked young again. "I came back." She fell asleep after that, and I sat watching her breathe. This was at the cost of loving someone for a lifetime. You love them through everything, even through them forgetting they ever loved you back. My phone buzzed. A text from Olivia. "How is she today?" The same I typed back. "But she remembered something. That's good, right?" "Yeah, baby." "That's good." I stayed until visiting hours ended, like I always did. Kissed Maya's forehead. Told her I loved her even though she was sleeping and wouldn't remember it anyway. At home, the house was too quiet. The kids were grown, Maya was gone, and I was alone in a space that had been built for noise and chaos in life. I made myself dinner, ate it standing at the kitchen counter. Avoided looking at the photos on the walls. Our wedding. The kids when they were small, family vacations. All the accumulated evidence of a life well lived. I was about to go to bed when my phone rang. "The nursing home, Mrs. Chen?" "It's Brenda from Meadowview. Your wife is asking for you." "Asking for me?" That was new. Usually when she got agitated at night, she asked for her mother or wanted to go home. By name. She's very insistent. Says she needs to see Sage. I was in my car in minutes, breaking speed limits to get there. Brenda met me at the door, led me to Maya's room. Maya was sitting up in bed, looking more alert than she had in weeks. "Sage," she said when she saw me. "You came." "Of course I came. I'll always come." "I know. I know that now." I remembered everything. I sat on the edge of her bed. "Everything?" "The coffee shop. Your apartment. How I couldn't stop touching you. Our wedding, the kids, all of it. It came back like a wave. I knew this might not last. The doctor had warned me about moments of clarity, how they could be fleeting. But I didn't care. I had her back, even if just for now. "I'm here," I said, taking her hand. "I need to tell you something important. In case I forget again, okay. Loving you was the best thing I ever did. Even when I left, even during those years apart, you were it. You've always been it." "Maya, let me finish. I know I'm sick. I know I'm forgetting things. But this," she pressed my hand to her heart. "This I know. You're in here, woven into every part of me. And even if my brain forgets, my heart won't. It can't." I was crying openly now. "I love you so much. I love you too. I'm sorry for the days I don't remember. I'm sorry for no apologies. Not for this. We promised no regrets, remember? No regrets, she agreed. Then, with a mischievous smile I recognized from 40 years ago, just one last time, I laughed through my tears. You said that before. Did I keep my promise? You never stopped touching me. Not once in 40 years. Good. She pulled me closer, and I crawled into the narrow bed beside her, careful of her fragile bones and the IV line. Don't stop now, never. We lay there together in a nursing home room with fluorescent lights and institutional white walls, and somehow it was just as perfect as every other moment we'd shared. Because it wasn't about the setting or the circumstances. It was about us, about the fact that we'd chosen each other over and over again through every challenge and change. Tell me our story, Maya whispered. Tell me everything. So I did. I told her about the party where we met, about her lying about her shoes being expensive, about the 3 years we'd lived together the first time, young and stupid and so in love we thought it would be enough, about how she'd left and come back, how she'd said just one last time and then never stopped. I told her about Olivia and Henry, about the chaos and joy of raising them, about our life in Portland, our friends, the community we built, about growing old together, about the lines on our faces and the gray in our hair and the way we still reached for each other in the night dot. And as I talked, she fell asleep in my arms, peaceful for the first time in weeks. I stayed there, holding her, memorizing this moment, because tomorrow she might not remember me again. Tomorrow might be the day the clarity left for good, but tonight we had this. Tonight she knew who I was and who she was and everything we'd been to each other. I love you, I whispered to my sleeping wife. No matter what happens, no matter how many times I have to reintroduce myself, I'll keep coming back. Just like you did for me. And I meant it. Because some loves are worth fighting for. Even when the fight is just showing up, day after day. Loving someone who can't always love you back. Some loves are worth everything. She stirred, mumbled something in her sleep that sounded like my name, and held on tighter. I closed my eyes and let myself believe, just for tonight, that love was enough. That memory lived in more than just the brain. That the woman in my arms would always know me, somewhere deep and unreachable, where even disease couldn't touch Dot just one last time, she'd said 40 years ago. But love like ours doesn't happen just once. It happens every day, in every touch, every moment, every choice to stay, and I would choose her for as long as I had left.